If you come out and you say X, Y, and Z bad about Tony Ferguson, and you follow that up with, and if he loses to Paddy the Baddy, he's released and he's done, then it has to be a loser leave town. Because if he's bad as you're saying, so bad that he's going to get cut with a loss, if he can beat that guy's got to go. If you're openly saying, if Tony can't beat this guy, he can't be here, then if Tony does beat that guy, the guy can't be here.
I'm not ready to leave, but I'm ready to work. I'm ready to work smart. That's, like a graduate, you know what I mean? It's like, I got to go back. Oh, I don't want to go back. Yeah, you're going back to school and you're going to get this done the right way. You, no, I'm not retired. You go retire. I have to do. I've been competing for 35 years. I am not even close to being done.
I'm going to go in there. I'm going to finish Paddy. I'm not worried about scaring him. I'm not worried about being angry, trying to go in there with this negative energy. Whatever energy that he's going to bring is not going to bring me down. I'm going to make sure that I'm so focused with everything that I have that nothing's going to faze me.
Paddy Pimblet is a big star. He's very popular. He's got fantastic skills. He's got great jiu-jitsu. And I believe Paddy has a number of ways to beat him. Number one, he's faster. I don't know about the better wrestler, but he could probably match him for jiu-jitsu. That's for damn sure. So it's a tough fight on paper for Tony. I think Tony's got more power. But if Tony can somehow shock the world, shock the bookies, shock everyone that puts money on Paddy Pimblet, then why shouldn't he continue to fight? But if he loses at 39 years old, then yeah, sadly, I would say that it's time for Tony Ferguson and the sunglasses and the madness and the epic walkout music that he uses. It'll be a sad day.
It's going to be the first time I've ever had anything like this. I've never fought a legend before, and it is it's my best opponent to date, definitely, and can't wait to get in there and put me skills on show and show everyone. Even though I've been off for a year, I've still made improvements over the last couple of months since I've been back in the gym training, and I just can't wait to make up for my performance last year in Vegas. I was injured last year, hurt my ankle in the fight, and as I say, I had to get 3 surgeries, but the Baddy 2.0 is coming.
He's a good fighter. He's long, rangy, lanky. He likes to put on a show. He's kind of mouthy. Obviously he's English. I think he used to fight at 145, 55er, tall kind of guy, good submission specialist, very beatable. He's on a 6.
Imagine what happens for Tony Ferguson if he beats Paddy Pimblet. He said before the last fight, I sat in the fighter meeting with him, and Tony Ferguson said, it's going to be a fight right now, 5 more fights, I'm on the title. So it's not like he has lost that desire to fight. He has not lost the thought that he can be a world champion. And I'm gonna tell you this right now, and this is the saying as old as time, fellas. Every great champion has one more night in him. We saw it with George Foreman when he beat Michael Moore. He did not belong in the ring with Michael Moore. We have seen so many great fighters have one great night where if you close your eyes and you squint enough, they remind you of that person that was on that run.
Look, and Tony will look at this fight as if to say, hold on a minute, here we go. This is my key to the door. This is my way to shut everybody up. This Scouser has a tremendous amount of hype. Everybody loves him. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to slow down the hype train. And you never know. It might just happen because it's a different fight than, say, Charles Oliveira. It's a different fight than, say, Justin Gaethje, Beneil Dariush, any of those guys, Michael Chandler, right? Not saying that Paddy can't get to that, but he's a long way off.
I agree with you because I think a lot of people think that Paddy is unproven, and I think a lot of people feel like this is a fight that Tony isn't in deep water like he's been in his last several fights. I think the matchmaking and the timing on this fight is excellent and couldn't be more perfect. It's a fun, interesting fight with 2 fun and interesting characters.
It was Tony Ferguson versus Paddy Pimblet. Initial reaction, I'm like, God damn, that's a lose-lose for Paddy. You go out there and beat Tony, who's really good, but on a 6-fight losing streak. So you beat him, you're not going to get credit for beating Tony Ferguson. You're going to get credit for beating a guy you should beat him. But it's a dangerous fight. It's not like that easy of a fight. It's not going there. It's going to be a tough fight. Tony could 100% win this fight.
I'm telling you what, I think Tony Ferguson has a very, very good chance in this fight, just to end this on a positive note for Tony. I think he's got a very good chance. I think he's got more power than Paddy. I think his jiu-jitsu is probably just as good, or if not better. Tony Ferguson is still a dangerous man. Make no mistake about that. And it's a really, really tough spot for Paddy Pimblet because it's a lose-lose.
Michael Bisping came out and talked about this. Michael was very polite to Tony. He said, man, that's not an easy fight for anybody. Yeah, well said. Well said by Michael. Michael also thought that it was a lose-lose for Paddy. That if he loses to Tony Ferguson, that of course isn't helpful. But if he beats Tony Ferguson, that of course isn't going to help because it's what he's expected to do. The rankings are already reflected in it, by example. And that part I don't know that I would agree with.
I think Tony Ferguson is a way tougher matchup than what people actually think. You know, could Tony Ferguson take him down 100%? Could he keep him down? I believe so, 100%. So I'm not sure what the UFC's planning on kind of pulling here, because if Paddy the Baddy does end up losing, you know, they lose one of their great white hopes. You know, what is that's going to happen? Is Tony Ferguson the right answer, or do you continue to keep building a guy like Paddy the Baddy?
We don't need to pretend that this is an out with an old and in with the new. We don't have to pretend that Tony Ferguson can't win this fight. We don't have to pretend that a guy in Paddy the Baddy, whose full focus is on making weight, oh, by the way, and nursing and rehabbing whatever was wrong with him in the first place, which I think was a leg. That could have been a knee, a hip, or a foot, but I feel like it was something with that appendage. You don't know what's going to happen in this fight. This is anybody's ball game.
When it comes back to the Paddy and the Tony stuff, like I tell everybody, it's like it's story writing for the UFC. They know how to write stories, and so they're writing this story, and everybody's story goes differently. Like some people are like, well, why didn't you make it, or why didn't you do this and that? The story is not written exactly like that. Everybody got their own position to play, and so like most of the time you don't see someone who's gonna come on a 6-loss streak fight someone who's on a 6-win streak. But the story writing is going there, and they want to build that kid.